There are many ways a number can be written. Today I'm going to teach you the standard form, the word form, and the expanded form. Let's start with this number. The standard way we write numbers is by using digit. For example, this number tells us that there are 5 ones, 4 tens, and 3 hundreds. We can also write this number out with words. 345. Finally, we can use what is called expanded form, which is something we practiced yesterday. Expanded form is just using place value to stretch out the original number. For example, this number would be 300 plus 40 plus 5. All three ways still represent this top number. Today we're also going to use base 10 blocks, which is something you should already be familiar with from grades past. We're going to use these base 10 blocks to represent the numbers as well. As just a reminder, the flat base 10 block represents hundreds. The rod base 10 block, like I'm showing here, represents the tens. And then the small cube base 10 block represents the ones. If you do not have these base 10 blocks at home, that is okay. You can either use the virtual base 10 blocks, which I linked in your learning plan, or you can draw out your base 10 blocks. We are going to represent our number 345 using our base 10 blocks as well. I'm going to show you how to use it, how to represent it if you do not have base 10 blocks at home and you need to draw them. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my hundreds place. I noticed that there are 3 hundreds. So if I had physical base 10 blocks, that's what I would put in this section. I would put 3 of these. But since I don't, I'm just going to draw them. I'm going to represent them by just using 3 squares. Okay. And that gives me 3 flats, which represents the number 300. Next, I'm going to move over to my tens place value. I see that if I had physical base 10 blocks, I would put 4 rods here, but since I'm going to show you how to just draw them, here I would put 1, 2, 3, 4. And these lines are just really representing my tens base 10 blocks. So I have 4 rods, which equals 40. And then finally, I have my little cubes. If you do not have these and you need to draw them, it could look something like this, where you just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have 5 cubes, which just gives me 5. What do you notice about these numbers and how we represented our numbers earlier today? If you mentioned that this reminds you of expanded form, that's correct. We can use our base 10 blocks to represent expanded form, which in this case, it would be 300 plus 40 plus 5. This helps us get a really great sense of place value and what this number truly represents. This will help us when we're using this larger numbers in bigger operations like addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. For the do section of this lesson, you're going to need the place value arrow cards from the previous lesson. If you happened to throw them away, I've also linked them here for you that you could reprint out and recut out. You're also going to need base 10 blocks. You can decide if you would like to do physical base 10 blocks, if you have those at home, or I also linked virtual base 10 blocks. These physical base 10 blocks, you just would print out and then cut them out, similar to what we did for our place value arrow cards. And then of course you're going to need your math notebook so that you could copy your work in it. This activity can be really fun at home if you have someone to do it with, like a partner, a parent, or a sibling. All you do is you use your place value arrow cards to draw for and create a number. For example, you might create the number 5,462. You're going to use your base 10 blocks, and again, it's up to you on which base 10 blocks you use to represent that number. Very similar to what we did earlier here. Finally, you're going to record that number using standard form, word form, and expanded form. See how many numbers you can do in 30 minutes. After you finish the do section in your learning plan, move on to the write and share section. Consider these 4 digits, 5801. What is the largest number you can create with them? How do you know? You can use your base 10 blocks. Again, you could use physical or virtual ones to prove your answer. Record this information in your math notebook. Another thing you could do is decide what the smallest number you can create is, and how do you know? Good luck with your math today, and as always, be sure to bring all of your work and any questions or comments you may have to your next Google Meet with your teacher.